My colleague told me at a luncheon that he had a car standing on his property that had been there for a few years and that his son's girlfriend had inherited it, and the idea was that she would practice driving before getting her driver's license. This Saab had been standing on his property for at least 2.5 years, he told me. Now Kjell wanted the car gone, he was tired of it standing there taking up space. I have offered him to tow the car away free of charge if I have to hire a tow truck to do it. The reason I took on the project was that there was a B204E engine in the car. An engine that is known to withstand a lot of power. There is a Garrett T25 turbo mounted originally, a small, lightweight turbo that gives the power 154 horsepower. This was a chance to learn more about Saab turbo. Me and 2 other guys have already tried to move the car by hand by pushing it. It didn't work, the brakes are completely stuck.
Kind of mold here.
The interior smelled of mold and stale smoke. This is the first time I've turned the ignition on the car. It was dead, not so unexpected perhaps. Luckily, there was engine oil in the car. I tried to get into the tailgate by pressing this button first, nothing happened, maybe it was because the battery was dead. Then I tried to open it with the key, but couldn't figure it out then either, but I would turn out to get the tailgate open a little later. All the door locks seemed to be stuck. The key couldn't be turned at all. The locks had probably jammed when it was parked. There is no central locking remote control, so you had to leave the car unlocked to get in.
Wet here, this mat is wet, so it's leaking in water, and you can see it's been rusting. Hallelujah here. The brakes are totally locked.
Both the front and rear brakes looked miserable. The rust had really taken hold of the brake discs and brake pads.
Yeah, it was really stuck. I've been working on this for long, but finally it's loose.
Since the car battery only gave 0.7 volts, I decided to try to take the battery home and revive it. I have a few methods for that I think might solve or help to get the voltage up in the battery.
Yeah, we got full charge. So maybe this battery will work.
A very nice feature that I miss on my other car is this cruise control. I was really happy when I saw that there was a cruise control on this Saab. There was mold here and there in the car, probably rainwater had leaked in because the floor mats were wet in places. All of this created a humid environment where mold thrived. The car was really disgusting. I have reinstalled the charged battery, which now seems to provide enough power to start the car.
Okay, let's try it. Fan sounds. Yeah, it started. Now it's ticking quite bad. Yeah, it's ticking quite bad.
Now it was time to try to get the front brakes loose, which were stuck, but thanks to the engine I had to help, it should be possible.
So it did stall. Yeah, it's moving, but the brakes are on.
The bottom edge of the rear doors looked pretty okay. If you look at the mountings on the front doors, they also looked good, no major rust there, that's positive. However, the left driver's door looks to be dented or damaged, it's like a big crack at the top between the door and the body. Water probably leaks in there when it rains, because the floor mat was wet. That could mean there's rust under the mat. This rust hole by the driver's floor may not look serious, but it's usually much worse than it looks. It almost looks like it's coming from the inside, why else would it start to rust so much? Rusting like this is not good. This is probably the remark it received at the inspection a few years ago, that is in the papers.
Better turn this off. This still sounds, even though it's off. What's up with that?
There is something electrically wrong, something with the fan doesn't seem to turn off.
It's this one.
Maybe there are a few other things that don't turn off when you turn the key off.
What's that? What is this? I've turned off the ignition. It's still pulling high. Not good, not good. Why?
The latest generation Saab 900 and the Saab 9-3 tend to rust at the rear wheel arches. That's why I check the status of how bad the rust is at the rear. I look under the car and find rust, especially where there are plastic plugs. Probably moisture has gotten stuck between the plastic plugs and the body. Alternatively, moisture has come from inside the floor and the damp insulation that has been lying around has created rust from the inside. This is also a known problem on the first generations of Saab 9-3. You have to lift the insulation mat, that is, pull out the entire floor mat and insulation to see what it looks like from the inside. The seats probably need to be taken out of the car as well. After some troubleshooting, I get tired of looking for electrical problems, so I remove the grille and take a look behind it. Cobwebs and some other debris, but it doesn't look too bad. It seems that once I turn on the ignition, something is left drawing power and it's different from time to time. I'm just trying to find what's giving power to this fan or coffee maker as I call it, and I'm pulling fuse after fuse.
Still sounding. So when I pulled this one, it died. Let's see what that is.
Here I have filled up with Shell's V-Power, which is like 98 octane or E05 I think it is called, which has about 5% ethanol in it. So it is a slightly better quality of petrol. I have a hope that the engine might run a bit better now that it gets new petrol. Otherwise, I try to back the car up and it seems to be moving the car, so we are definitely making progress.
Now it's less ticking.
Here I have tried putting on the handbrake and releasing it again, and now the Saab seems to be going sluggishly again, especially when I steer in either direction. The brakes are definitely not good.
The lock is stuck.
Neither the driver's nor the passenger's side lock could be moved. They are completely stuck. I tried to lubricate them with a little oil. The next problem was the antenna mount. Unfortunately, someone has broken the antenna, and it seems that rainwater is leaking in there. This causes rust and wet trunk mats. I decide to remove the antenna and put tape there instead. Then came the day when I finally became the owner of this Saab. All the papers were now signed, and all that was left was to put the letter or the change of ownership in the mailbox. In the next episode, one will continue trying to get this car in order. I can now finally try to take it from the place. Stay tuned to the next episode 3 to follow, and see if I eventually manage to fix the rust and inspect the Saab. Now continues episode 3. It is with this scooter that I go to the Saab to tinker with it. It is a good way to transport a fair amount of stuff. This time I bring the bike rack with me to prepare to be able to cycle to the car and eventually pick up the Saab and take the bike with me in the back of the car. When I start it, it smokes blue right at the start. There are also some strange noises. There is a bang in the exhaust pipe and some other noise makes itself felt. Listen again at a slow pace. The strange sounds are scaring me a little. Where are they coming from? I get out of the car to try to see if I can see anything strange, but I don't see anything obvious. So I decide to continue and try to drive out of the place in the car and hope for the best. Checking status of PCV system, positive crankcase ventilation. I have done some research on common problems on the Saab 9-3. Among other things, there can be problems with the PCV valve, which can cause overpressure and, among other things, oil leaks and other problems. Someone warns that it is very important to check this, so that is why I do this test. It gives a positive result. It sucks as it should.
Sucked down if I had bad luck. That looks good. So that means, I guess that means the PCV valve is okay. The rear wiper seems to be totally
The rear windshield wiper is also broken, unfortunately. The splines don't seem to engage the windshield wiper at all. I'll have to look at it later. The engine is revving, so I decide to take a slow drive around the block to activate the brakes a bit.
Not too bad now in the brakes. But you can hear it. Yeah, that test drive went well. The brakes are really bad, but they're getting better. They need to be worked a lot.
Well, it seems like the car is drivable anyway, so I'll continue with the next step. Removing the seats and floor mats to try to see how bad the rust is. Check out episode 3 in this series for more info on how to do this.
A sandbox. So we got a hole through there.
As always, the rust is much more widespread than you might first naively think. Here I start to clean off most of the rust to see what I have to work with. The idea is to spot weld pieces of sheet metal in place. It will be far from pretty, but the hope is that it will last a few years. Maybe it is possible, thanks to rust preventive paint and linseed oil. Using a heat gun to remove the bitumen mat is probably one of the most effective ways to remove the asphalt mat.
I've removed this liner here, and as you can see it's a lot of crap, of course. So I'm gonna clean this up, remove that part and check the cabin filter out. It's pretty simple to remove this part. It's just the windshield wipers you have to remove, and then this liner here, this one that goes. I also tried removing that 24mm gearbox bolt, and it was possible. It was stuck pretty bad. Got a 55, I don't know if you can see. This is the gearbox FM 55 505. It's the gun one, and it's the same in the turbos and so on also. It's the same one from common on 99 Saabs, I believe, even the 130 horsepower version. Also, I've removed some crap down here. I don't know if you can see, and put some linseed oil on it just to prevent rust and so on. It was a lot of crap down there. Also clean this hose. This has a pocket on the side there where you can put a spoon or clean it out. There was a lot of junk there too. And in the inside I cleaned it up a bit. I've sanded it down a bit. Yeah, you can complain, but this is the way I do it. The thin metal there was kind of rusty, so I think this will do the trick. I've done this with other stuffs and it works. So I put linseed oil, rust protection, and I've also done here. So here we have I have to do a patch. So I believe we have 5 areas that needs patches. We have to weld in. Here we have another one, and the other one there too. You can see the linseed oil. I've also injected it inside here, the side sparklåda, as we say in Swedish. Slow progress, but moving ahead. Holy macaroni, this is a lot of crap. This cabin filter has never been replaced, I believe. Terrible. So this car hasn't been that well serviced, I guess. Maybe the motor oil, but not these pieces. Should be white. And this one here goes here. So it's full of crap. You just unlatch this on each side, and then you can hopefully fill a little out without getting too much crap in it. At least it's clean there in the blower engine. The blower engine there, it looks to me, that looks fresh at least. Hit it, clean it up a bit until we buy a new one. Now it's much better. Starting to clean up pretty good. I'm gonna put some linseed oil on it too. Starting to rust in some places, just starting. So this will be this will be quite wet. So, but as long as it's flowing and not stopping, then it usually doesn't rust. But yeah, filter much better than before. This is what I'm using. Biltema linseed based, transparent yellow color. I think it's good, works nice. The hole keeps on growing and growing, as usual with rust. Doesn't look too bad at first, but of course it's way bigger. So under the sealer here, there's been growing. Once it starts leaking in the sealer, then it goes. I try to determine where it ends. I have to move the brake lines. My shoulder is bad, so having a hard time filming. Yeah, this is me. This is me laying here. While I'm at it, I'm gonna check out the air filter. It's just some latch. Disconnect them, 4 of them. This is how it looks. Not too bad, but at least original. Regarding the windscreen wiper, it is totally loose. If we're lucky, I just might have to tighten this. We'll see. Let's have a look at this, how bad this is. Yeah, starting to poke holes here. So it's definitely worse than it looks. You can see it bulging up here. Yeah, it's growing. And you can see there's a line here, probably where the 2 sheets are meeting, and then there's probably a big hole here. So this has probably been done by a company. So they've done all this, so it's probably rust under here also. But it doesn't bubble yet, so. But this is, yeah, this might be the original paint here, maybe. And they don't even look like they cleaned it up very much. See if I can hack this away, or we'll leave it. I don't know. I'm gonna grind this up a bit so I can put some paint over it, protect it just for now. I think I'll make this an experiment where I will try some method of either way I put rust primer on it, or I put linseed oil on it, or some mix over there. Anyway, I continue here. I saw that it was just a tiny bit up here, and then it's a tiny here, so I decided to pull this out, and it goes down a bit there, but not too bad. So I scrape away most of the rust, and I think I'm gonna go with linseed oil here all the way, just to prevent further. It's hard to clean this, and I don't want to remove the side. I saw this also, so I poked a bit on it just to remove most of the bubbles. But then I also, when I removed the rubber, then I found this is water. So this might be, if you have own a Saab, you might want to check this and dry it up and so on. I'll clean this up, probably some salt and whatever. So when this lays in water, which it apparently looks like it has. So the front driver's car door. Look at this. Yeah, the guy has been screwing. Maybe you don't say that. Screw has different kinds of meaning, right? So this is he's been putting 3 of them, or the previous owner has. So they used to do it like that before, earlier when they produced cars, but now they usually use plastic and so on, plastic clips, so it doesn't rust. Yeah, gonna put some rust protection on it, and we'll go from there. I believe this is the correct location. I'm just gonna tighten this and see what happens. 10mm. Doesn't feel as, might have fixed it. We'll try it out later on when I do a full test. I'm gonna start painting the rust. I don't know which is best, this one, zinc primer, or sort of linseed oil or something like that. I'll do 2 different tests or something like that. I will try both. So as a reference, this is how it looks. Quite some pores left, which it shouldn't, but I can't clean too much here, then it gets dust over the other people's cars. So, and this is pretty much damaged anyway, so just try to stop it. So I've applied that rust stop sort of zinc primer. Looks terrible, I know. I ain't no custom builder, okay? I'm just trying things out. I don't do this for a living, and put some here too, so we can remember where, if we want to check it out a year or 2 later. Anyway, this I've left on 3. I'm gonna do this with boiled linseed oil, compare it with it, see how it turns out. This is what I'm gonna use. Hagman's cooked linseed oil. Also here we have the driver side. Yeah, it's left hand driving here, right side driving. Anyway, here we can see I've just scratched it with a screwdriver. And we got some here too. So let's see how it turns out. Maybe an update in a year or 2. I painted the door side here, the driver side, with cooked linseed oil, and also here, and then I sprayed the linseed oil that we have. It's a lot of rust down there anyway. And this door side all the way here, brushed on the linseed oil, and here. We'll see how it turns out. Don't have a lift, you gotta do what you gotta do. Gonna start checking things out under, clean it a bit, see if I can get the gearbox screw loose. I'm gonna check if I can get the gearbox screw loose. Got the oil filter there. Some kind of long life Austria. We got the motor oil plug here. I'll give that a try another day. I think that will be easier. It's easier to access with better tools. Can't get this long enough. But some parts are pretty good. Where it depends on what you compare with. But this is good. Seems to stop around here. And then I poked and scratched, sort of trying to, when the sealer here doesn't come off easy anymore, then it's not so much rust. But you can see there's plenty where you start poking. This is the fuel line, I believe, so but hope you can easily disconnect them when you're gonna weld. So otherwise I think this is a part that is rusty if I poke here all the way here, but this side seems good. So I don't know if it's double there or whatever. So yeah, not too bad, but still it's hard for me to see that the rust starting to crawl. But if I take it now, then it won't be too serious in a couple of years. Got plenty of rust here. This bar here, start poking and it will fall a lot. But the subframe looks good. The front looks good. Yeah. Let's see if we can get this open.
If I had removed the 24mm filler screw, air would have gotten in and the oil wouldn't have fluctuated like it does. As you can see, I spill a lot and make a mess.
See the metal pieces on the magnet. Yes, this is normal. I've seen other. This is 230,000 kilometers. And by the way, I made a shorter one. Cut this one. It was a bit too tight with the other one. Let's clean this one. Yeah, it's a lot of crap. It's good to have it removed. You can see you can't remove it, but it's a bit hard. Hope you can see. And then this should be, I think, 50 Newton meter. That's pretty much, so I'll tighten this quite a lot here. I want to measure, even though I spilled some, maybe I spilled a half deciliter or something like that. I want to see how much is still, so I know how much I have to pour into the, just to know. This is 1 liter, or about 1 quart. So they say it should be about 1.8, and this is it's quite a lot left. But now I know I can't have in 2 liter. That's too much. So 1 liter, and this is like 1 point, maybe 1 point, we have another reading here, 1.6. And then okay, maybe I spilled about half deciliter, maybe a deciliter, so 1.7 then I should put in. So I'll put in 1.8 or something like that, overfill it a bit. You can see that it's some crap in the oil. So yeah, better to replace the oil than use the old. So this is what I bought, Biltema, fully synthetic, and it says it shouldn't be any damage to yellow metals, not aggressive against yellow metals. So this AP GL4 that everyone is saying, I'm using this one in anyway. It's better than what's in it. So, and I've used this in my other car, and not this, yeah, exactly this type, but Biltema, and it's been fine. So to refill it, you have to use a 24mm socket, and you can see the bolt, yeah, straight there. I've already loosened it, so I know that I can get it off before I so I know I can refill it. Might be a bit hard to get the funnel down there, but now it's in place. Otherwise you can use this type, but this will be easier, I think, if I just go slow.
This fully synthetic gearbox oil from Biltema is not supposed to be aggressive towards so-called yellow metals, such as brass. I believe that synchronizers can sometimes be made of brass. I am not sponsored in any way, but I use this oil because it seems affordable. If the gearbox breaks down, I promise to make a video about it. Now I've sprayed rust inhibitor on some exposed areas and also changed the transmission oil, so it's time to roll the car down the ramps. Something is screaming and howling as I drive down the ramp. I don't know what it is. If you remember from previous episodes, there are still power thieves, so I disconnect the battery when the car is going to be parked for a while. I will continue troubleshooting the electrical fault at a later time.
Yeah, airbag. We have no seats. Okay, we have the mileage. Or sorry, kilometers. Almost 240,000.
Can't look you in the face.